I know that I've done the unpopular opinions tag before, but that was literally a year ago, and I really just wanted to redo this tag because back then I felt like I didn't read a lot of like popular books or popular authors, and like I was just reading whatever I wanted to read, which I mean I still do now, but I've read literally so many books since then that I feel like I can finally do this tag more accurately. But also, I think this tag is super, super fun. And it's like a tag that you can do as many times as you want. So I'll probably have one next year. Like, like my opinions are always changing. And that is one thing that I wanted to say before I do this tag is my opinions change every single second. I never have one solid opinion. Like there are books I said I would never read that I love that I've read now. So please take what I say with like a grain of salt because I'll be like, I'll never read this book. And then like I end up reading it and I love it. Or there are books that I love that I've read and the more that I thought about it, I just didn't love them anymore. And that is completely okay. But yeah, let's just get into this video. So the first question is a popular book or series that you didn't like, and for this one I'm gonna have to say The Diviners by Libra Bray. I did not enjoy this book as much as I thought I would. I thought this would be like the perfect like spooky October book to read, but sadly I didn't really enjoy it all that well. I thought that it was very boring and not a lot happened, and it was just a very character driven book. So I think that's like, I know that I'm the kind of person who like if a book has too much like world building and it focuses too much on the characters and not a lot on the plot. Like if there's nothing going on in the background, even if the book has an overarching plot, there's nothing going on in the background, it's gonna be very hard for me to keep my focus on a book or for me to like love the book to the fullest that everyone else did. And I've realized that a lot of people on book Twitter are very character driven people, so I need to like the Raven Cycle, I did not like the Raven Cycle. The Foxhole Court, I didn't hate it or anything. I didn't care for it. It also took me exactly 2 years to read. I finished it the day before I started 2 years prior. So yeah, Sizzle Crows, I didn't really like enjoy all that much. Like I loved it. I gave it 4 stars, but that was when I first was joining BookTube, so I didn't know how to rate books. I feel like if I would have rated it now, I would have given it like a 3 star. But yeah, like I feel like I'm a very plot driven person, and a lot of book Twitter specifically or booktube is very character driven, so I take book recommendations with a grain of salt. But I mean my subscribers know me and what kind of like books I read. Like a lot of you guys give me book recommendations and they end up being some books that I really, really love and like. So I want to say if nobody knows me, my subscribers definitely know me. So that's nothing I ever have to worry about. A popular book or series that a popular book or series that everyone else seems to hate but you love. I could say The Cruel Prince, but everyone loves that series now. Like, I remember when I first joined in BookTube, everyone was like, The Cruel Prince, like nobody wants to read a bully romance. Like, me, I do. Yeah. Oh, I could say Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. A lot of people did not like that book. Rightfully so. The book is absolutely terrible. Not terrible in a writing way because Penelope Douglas does write some really good stuff, but it was very taboo, and I think that it was too taboo for most people. I was eating that book up. So question number 3 is a love triangle where the main character ended up with the person you did not want them to end up with, or an OTP you don't like. Honestly, I don't really care for OTPs. Like, it's weird because I love like relationship in books, but I don't really care for like those relationships. Like if I didn't like them, then it's like, oh well, I guess, I don't know. Like I love Jude and Carden, but I prefer myself with Carden, a lot of like my book boyfriend, I deserve my own Carden. Peter Kavinsky, there should Peter Kavinsky with me. I love Peter Kavinsky and Laura Jean, like, period. A lot of people loved Peter. I guess, okay, a lot of people love Laura Jean and John Ambrose, but I just did not see it. Like, I think that, yeah, John Ambrose was like such a good guy, but so was Peter. Like, he made mistakes. First of all men aren't perfect. Men aren't perfect in general. Let's start there. Men are trash. So we may have think that John Ambrose was a sweet, nice boy. He probably had dead kittens hidden in his basement for all y'all know. Also, John Ambrose in the book, it was just bland. Yes, we love Jordan Fisher, but we do not love John Ambrose. I'm so sorry. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry. Yes, he was such a nice guy. But nice guys finish last for. No, I'm kidding. I personally just like, I love the banter that Peter and John. I love the banter that Peter and Laura Jean had. Like, she always was keeping him in check. And I think that a lot of things that happened between Peter and Laura Jean and P.S. I Still Love You was literally Laura Jean's fault. Like, Laura Jean is very insecure and naive. And that's why I love her so much, because she is pure at its form. Like, I generally love, like, pure people. I feel like when a lot of people look at me, they're like, oh, she's so pure. And then you see me and I'm a raging bitch. But that's besides the point. A lot of people, like, I love like pure people who see the world as like amazing, and I don't know, I just love Laura Jean, and like I love Peter because he is just so, they're opposite, you know. Laura Jean and John Ambrose were more so alike, and I think that they would make great best friends, but I think that they were too similar, whereas Peter and Laura Jean were opposite, so they could learn a lot from each other. That was a great essay that I just wrote, basically. Popular genre, a popular book genre you hardly reach for, and for this I would have to say sci-fi, which I don't hardly reach for sci-fi on purpose. Like, I just think that I don't read a lot of space sci-fi. I don't have a lot of sci-fi on my bookshelves. Like, I could probably list maybe 5 sci-fis I own on my bookshelf, like, just thinking about it. Like, I've only read, I want to say, like, 4 sci-fis this year so far. I don't read a lot of, like, space sci-fi, and I don't know if it's not because I don't want to or I hate it. It's just that they just don't pique my interest a lot, and I think that's what the issue is. But I mean, I'm all for it. I also don't really read a lot of historical fiction. I don't read historical romance, and I never will read historical romance. That is one thing you can keep my word on. I just think that um, a lot of like historical times I just don't care for. I mean, I love Stalking Jack the Ripper, but I think it's because Stalking Jack the Ripper took my favorite things, which are horror and men. Um, but even with Stalking Jack the Ripper, like like it was good, but ugh, don't even get me started, okay? A popular beloved character you do not like, and I will have to say Tessa from the Infernal Devices. I do not care about Tessa. I think that she didn't really have a personality, and out of all the girls that we have in the Shadowhunter series, I think that Cordelia and Emma are like the best main characters. They have a lot more like personality and depth to them. I did like Tessa's story and how, I don't know, I guess I think I like Emma and Cordelia more so because we don't get that like new girl has to learn how to become a shadow hunter. Even though Tessa isn't a shadow hunter, you know, it's like you don't get that new to the shadow hunter world plot that you get with the Inferno Devices in the Mortal Instruments. I just think that she's boring, even as an adult, even as a mom. I just think that she's very boring. I personally don't really ship her with Will. I don't ship her with Jim either. I literally ship her with no one. I ship her in a coffin. Finally. A popular author you cannot seem to get into, and I have a list, girls. Jay Kristoff, Trisha Levenseller, Kirsten White, Marie Lu, Stephen King. A lot of people see my bookshelves and they're like, "Oh, she stands Stephen King." That is not the case at all. I keep trying to get into Stephen King because his movies are some of my all-time favorite movies. Carrie, all of them, even the 2013 one, is my favorite horror movie. It chapter 1 and 2 are my favorite horror movies. So I keep trying to get, I remember I read Carrie and I absolutely hated it. I never hated, that was the first book I read on when I joined BookTube that I like hated. I haven't really finished it yet. So it's like I keep trying to find like a Stephen, like okay, if you read a Stephen King book, you can find a book that like is yours, or like a niche, I guess, like a time period of Stephen King that you'll like, and I just haven't found that yet. And I mean, I might never find it, but a lot of people think that I like love Stephen King because I own a lot of his books, and that is definitely not the case. Also, the man on Twitter, he just, it's like every time he talks, I just push off. Every time he tweets, I just like, I don't want to read him anymore. I don't. But it's crazy because I found some of my favorite people on BookTube through Stephen King videos, or like through like Stephen King tweets or pictures or whatever. But yeah, I can't get into Drake Kristoff. I think that his writing is very meh, and I just think that his characters are very bland and boring, and I can't get into Trisha Levenseller because I think that her plots are also very boring, and I just can't get into Marie Lu just because I just don't like the way her characters are written. Like I forget, I think it's called Legends or something like that. It's the one where everyone has like superpowers or something like that. And I personally want to like that one because I thought it was going to be like one of those stories where like you get to see the main character become a villain, which is something I live for. But I think that the main character in that book was way too much of a everyone's staring at me, I could burn them at the stake with my eyes right now. Like I think she was very like a try hard, be evil kind of character, and I didn't like that. And then in Warcross, I just didn't really care about the main character. Like I just thought she was just bland. I feel like a lot of authors write very bland main characters. Like I will love their side characters before I love their main characters. But I think in general, it's even though I'm in the main character's head, it's actually very hard for me to like fall in love with the main character. A popular book trope you're tired of seeing. Um, I love triangles. I don't hate them at all. I think that love triangles could go either like I feel like most love triangles are very like predictable. Like with To All the Boys I Loved Before, you knew she was gonna get with Peter both times. With Twilight, you knew she was gonna get with Edward. Like I feel like love triangles could be written a lot better. I'm not tired of seeing them. I'm just tired of seeing them and like knowing who the character's gonna get with. Like one thing I do appreciate about the Unfriended Devices is that you knew she was gonna get with Will, but I think that every like they connected. It was a triangle. Like Jim, Will, Tessa, and they all connected. Whereas most love triangles are like L's. So it'll be like the main girl here and then a guy and then a guy. And like they connect to the girl, but they don't connect to each other. And I have read a story where like the love triangle was very good. It's called Two Princes of Summer. I love how this became a recommendations video. It's called Two Princes of Summer, and it's about this girl who is normal, and she meets these two fairy guys, and they're not brothers, but the parents took in one of the guys, and they're both evil. So it's like not one is better than the other. Like even if you're like, oh, this one's like the nice guy, like he does something that's just like, ugh, why would you do that? Or like even the one that you think is like the bad one, he does something that's like nice, and you're like, okay, maybe he's good. Like they're fairies, like of course they're not good, and it's like you never know who she's gonna get with. And for me, I root for both of them, and I think that was a very well written love triangle. I am very tired of the chosen one trope though. It's like I'm tired of a lot of trope, but I'll read them. Like the only trope that I like really, really hate is insta love. I think that a lot of authors these days, I tweeted about this. I think that a lot of authors caught on to the fact that we love enemies to lovers as much as we do. So they write enemies to lovers and like the character will like bump into another character and they'll be like, ugh, I hate this person. And then they'll like have one like they'll have like one decent conversation with this person and it's like, oh my gosh, I love them, which I mean is me. I literally fall in love with like any guy who like blinks at me, but at the same time, like when it's in books, like I want it to be more realistic, I guess. Like one thing I didn't like about Children of Blood and Bone, don't get me wrong, I love the book, it's a 5-star read, but one thing I didn't like was the instant love. It was like they hated each other and then a page later they were in love. And I feel like the only time insta love is acceptable is in the book The Sun Is Also a Star. If it's outside of that, I'm not accepting it. Period. I don't wanna read any more insta love. I don't know who in their right mind would enjoy insta love. I don't know why authors keep giving it to us, and I think that if an author gives us insta love, it's a sign that they don't know how to write romance, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. A popular series I have no interest in reading. So for this one, like I said, my opinions change all the time. Like I think last time when I did this, I was like, oh, I don't plan on reading the Shadowhunter Chronicles. And then I read the entire Shadowhunter Chronicles in a month. I was like, oh, I want to read Sarah J. Maas. And now she has her own shelf. Like Holly Black doesn't even have her own shelf on my bookshelf. So like she has her own shelf. So it's like I could say I don't plan on reading from this author, but I probably will. I will say I don't think I'll ever read Zenith by Sasha Osberg. Don't get me wrong, I love her. I stand her. She is one of my all-time favorite booktubers. Like I literally watch every video she drops. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll rewatch her old videos because I miss her so much. Like I'm obsessed with this woman. But I don't think that I would ever read Zenith, and I don't think I'll read Project Red, whatever that book is. Just because of all the negative reviews it has. I will be buying the books to support the authors, of course, but I just won't read them. They're just not, and it's not even that like the bad reviews, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's very space, it's very space sci-fi, and it's not that I'm not into that, I just don't pick it up a lot, and I don't think that I would read it, and I don't think it would be fair to the authors because I don't really read that genre that often anyways. So I will probably never finish reading the Nevernight Chronicles Aurora Rising, Illuminate. I'm definitely not reading the rest of Illuminate. Like Aurora Rising, that is questionable. I might I might read that. I might read the rest of that series, but Illuminate, no, I'm not reading the rest of Illuminate. No, that's not happening. And the last question is, the saying goes, the book is always better than the movie, but what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? I'm pretty sure I said this in my last one, but I don't really know. So there's this book called Drink, Slay, Love, and it's written by Birth, Sarah Dust Birth, something like that. And it's about this girl who's a vampire, and one day she gets staked and she is able to walk in the daylight. So her parents send her to a school to be a normal teenager to recruit these like kids for sacrifice, basically, for the like higher vampire. And I watched the movie before I read the book. It came out on Lifetime. It's a very underrated movie. I personally love the movie. It's where I got my style inspiration from, because Sierra Ramirez plays the main female character, and she basically just wears leather jackets and tight clothes and black all the time, and like very. I realized I dress like a vampire. I didn't really realize that. I mean, it's spring, so I'm dressing very spring now. Well, it's not spring, but it's spring in my head. I don't really care about spring, but I love spring colors. We are very off topic here. But yeah, I just like a vampire, I realized. But yeah, so I got my sound inspiration from her, but also my personality. But I didn't get my personality, but I feel like I related to the character. But so I love the movie so much. It's a very underrated movie. I don't think a lot of people liked it if they did watch it. It was on Lifetime. I mean, come on now. What do you expect? Like, when you watch Lifetime movies, you kind of gotta go in with low expectations in general, because Lifetime movies are just trashy movies you watch for like your mom or your sister or your grandma or all three, which is what I used to do. And so you want to go in with low expectations when you watch a Lifetime movie. But I loved it. Like, I love Lifetime movies, so I loved it. I read the book and I absolutely hated the book. The book had a talking unicorn. I believe she ended up becoming, like, in the book, instead of being staked, she got stabbed in the stomach with the unicorn horn, I believe. And I was like, what is this? Like, who in their right mind, like, and who published it? First of all, there are so many books out here that deserve to be published, and you're publishing this, and then you decide you want to make a movie out of it. The movie changed the the Lifetime movie. They did change a lot of things that happened in the book. I wrote a review for it in one of my notebooks before I was like writing on Goodreads, and I remember just being so upset because I love the movie so much. Also, the Duff. I love the Duff. I loved the book when I first read it. Fun fact: I read it as a Justin Bieber fan fiction. If you are a Justin Bieber fan, I stayed on JBFF all the time. JBFF Plus was that girl. I'm so sad they don't still have those websites up, because I wrote some really good fan fictions. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but I read it as a fan fiction, and then they were like, oh, we're coming out with this movie, and I was like, this is an actual book. So I read the actual book, and the fan fiction in the book was the same thing, just the names were swapped out. So I loved it. The book was very problematic. I haven't reread it in such a long time because I'm scared of how problematic it could have been. But I think that the movie was done so well. And I love the two actors who played the characters. So I feel like the movie is better than the book for Duff, but I love them both. Like, I'm not saying like I hate the Duff book at all. Like, I love it. I will defend it. Like, come for me if y'all want. I don't care. I love the Duff. And and then for To Other Boys, and then the last one is To Other Boys I Loved Before. It's not better. The book is not better than the movie. Do not get me wrong, but I think that they're on the same level. I love the books a tad bit more just because I grew up reading them, and I feel lonely all the time, and whenever I'm feeling like super super lonely, I reread the books, just because I used to literally feel like Laura Jean. Like, I used to take these books everywhere with me, you guys. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I remember like bringing these books to school, and like my crush like walking up to me and like making fun of me because I had the book, and me thinking like, "Ah, this is my Laura Jean moment." Like, oh my gosh, never happened. So I do like the books a tad bit more than the movies, but I think that they're on the same level. Actually, I can't say I like P.S. I Still Love You more, because they took out the assassin scene, and if you've been subscribed to me for a while and you watch my like Total Was I Love Before videos, you know that the assassin scene is my all-time favorite scene in the entire books, and then it's why the second book is my favorite book out of all of them. Well, not really. I think I like them in the order that they were written, but I personally, if it wasn't for the assassin scene, I would not have liked the book. And I think that's why I didn't really care about the movie, because the movie didn't have an assassin scene. But this is not a movie review. So, yes, that is it for this video. I hope that you liked it. Let me know, like, your unpopular opinions, like popular books that you don't like, popular books that everyone hates that you like. I don't really think there's like a popular book that, I mean, unless you like After. I don't really think that there's like a popular book that like everyone out here hates. I mean, that doesn't make sense. I don't really think that there's like a popular book out here that like everyone hates, besides After. But yeah, that's it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.